Welcome back to another episode of Balling with Biegel. It is August time, so that means that it's that time for college kids to go back to school. So I just want to wish everyone out there who's out there grinding at college good luck this semester, and hope you all do well. Um, with that being said, it's close to that time of the year where the NBA season's about to be kicking off here within a month. So it's time for me to make my preseason predictions. Um, Based off all off-season trades that have been going on this year and all the injuries that have happened so far this past off-season, all the signings. We're going to take a look at the NBA official roster for each NBA team and go from there and break it down from each division on the East and the West. And then at the very end, give my 1 through 15 of the teams that I believe will do good and will not do good. And then at the mid-season round at the All-Star break, we're gonna take a look back on this list and see where we are at the season, and just compare the lists and see all the teams that we thought would do good versus didn't. So let's get started and go to the East Coast and start on the Central Division, which consists of the Milwaukee Bucks, Indiana Pacers, Chicago Bulls, Detroit Pistons, and Cleveland Cavaliers. All right, so we're gonna start from 5 to 1. Break it down with the Cleveland Cavaliers. We start lineup from 1 to 5 is Colin Sexton, Brandon Knight, Cedi Osman, Kevin Love, and Tristan Thompson. Outside this um, lineup of Kevin Love and Colin Sexton, there I don't really see anybody that's going to provide enough offense for this team to flourish. Your leading scorer is going to be Colin Sexton. He's a walking bucket. We've seen him break LeBron's scoring records as a rookie last year, and he's only going to get better as that. Hopefully, his passing and defense can develop along. We got a veteran presence in Brandon Knight who can hopefully teach him the ways of and help him develop more. We got the Darius Garland they got in the draft who can we saw the man he can shoot. This provided great maybe CJ McCollum, DJ or Damian Lillard combo backcourt, hopefully for the Cleveland Cavaliers in the future. But till then, they're just too young and just need to develop. Um, Tristan Thompson, we all see what he can do in the years past, but ever since the Kardashian curse, if you want to say, he hasn't really put up the numbers that we have known him to do. Um, from there, we're going to move on to the next team, the Detroit Pistons, with a starting lineup of Reggie Jackson, Bruce Brown Jr., Tony Snell, Blake Griffin, and Andre Drummond. They have also acquired my man Derrick Rose. It's going to be a great piece coming off the bench, which I believe he needs to start. We saw all he could do last year, putting up that amazing, incredible comeback season. But this one thing about this team is they have, I believe, the most underrated front court in the Eastern Conference, if not the whole NBA, with Andre Drummond being the best rebounder, getting the rebounding title last year. He's going to get your 20 and 20 games. He can score the ball in the paint when we need to, and is, I believe, the best true big left in the league. We don't see a whole lot of them much anymore, but he's definitely the last best true one. We got Blake Griffin, who we've seen his range get better throughout the last portion of these years. He did request a trade last year around Anthony Davis time, but there's not been much talk about it. So if he's happy, these two will come together. Still balling out with now Derrick Rose. So hopefully they can get that together, but it's not going to be enough to win really the division or get far in the conference, I believe. So we're going to move on to the middle pack team where my Chicago Bulls will finish there with their starting lineup of um, Zach LaVine, Otto Porter, Thomas Satoransky, um, Wendell Carter Jr., and Lauri Markkanen. That was out of order. I don't know why they had that out of order, but um, this is a pretty solid lineup. What their biggest problem last year was just health, like I've said in previous podcasts. It's hard to win when all 5 of your starters are not out there on the same court. With Wendell Carter coming back after only playing 44 games last year, putting up a um, productive off the bench and starting role for when he got hurt. Lauri Markkanen's got that 30. He's got the most 30-point games of his draft class right now, and is a walking bucket. He's going to be the next Dirk Nowitzki. He's got the next European style flow. It's a great jumper, and he bulked up enough too to get to work in the paint. And we've seen his rebound numbers go up, so hopefully he can become a double sort of power forward for the Bulls going forward. But with Zach LaVine being the star on the team, the only thing lacking is the star power and the bench coming off the bench. Um, we also They also picked up Thaddeus Young this offseason. Will be good for that bench and help them develop and keep going. Excuse me, sorry. So with that being said, we're going to move on to the second place runner-up of the Central Division, and that will be the Indiana Pacers. We saw what they could do without Victor Oladipo last year, still making a strong case in the playoffs. Unfortunately, it was a first-round exit, but they did all that without their superstar. Now, this is all going to depend how Victor returns from this severe injury and can still have the power to lead his team. Will he be like a Paul George and have such a terrible leg injury and come back and still be able to lead his team the way he does? They've also signed will help Vic with this is they signed Malcolm Brogdon, which was a great pickup by them. He shoots 93% from the line, which and will help ease the load off Vic when he comes back from this injury, and it'll help ease the load off him, and will I cannot speak right now. Will help him score the bucket and move more efficiently. They still got Domantas Sabonis, who led the NBA off with double doubles off the bench last season, now into the starting lineup, with Miles Turner in the middle, leading the league in blocks last season. It was one of the better defensive teams. I believe they'll still hold true this year. They got some more solid contributing pieces that will help out. But like I said, it's all going to depend on how well Vic comes back from this injury that he had last year. And let's find these starting lineups on this phone. And with us winning the Central Division this year, I think we'll repeat as the Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis coming off his MVP caliber and MVP year will look to lead this team to the top of the Central Division. Along with the Greek Freak, they also have Chris Middleton, who's just got that big contract, and he's going to be looking to show why he deserved that big contract. Always been an underrated star, I believe. And with the pickup of Wesley Matthews, too, and Eric Bledsoe. Wesley Matthews hasn't really put up the numbers that we've seen him put up on his Trailblazer days and what he has done, but hopefully he can space the floor out for. This is great for the Greek Freak, so it makes some spacing for him to do what he does best and attack the paint and get those insane dunks. And in the middle we have Brook Lopez, who we've seen flashes of what he could do of old Brook Lopez in the playoffs last year. He can still space the floor. He's a mountain that can shoot, and surprisingly can also defend the paint really well. Was, I believe, top 10 in blocks last year, which really blew my mind because I did not honestly see that coming. But I have the Bucks coming out winning the Central Division, and with that, we're gonna move to the Southeast Division, which consists of the Miami Heat, Orlando Magic, Atlanta Hawks, Charlotte Hornets, and the Washington Wizards. This division right here, I'm just going to say, is not the most talented and the weakest division, I'd have to say, of the East. So with that being said, we're going to jump right in to number 5, where I have the Charlotte Hornets, who lost their franchise player this offseason, Kemba Walker, to the Boston Celtics, which is just hard. The team wasn't already there was already a losing team, seeing some struggles outside of Kemba Walker. There wasn't really much, and they really didn't do much to for his absence, they went out and got Scary Terry Rozier, who's a great player. Don't get me wrong, and probably can start on lower caliber teams, but he just doesn't seem like the guy to lead the team. And what team they got, they're gonna need Miles Bridges and Dwayne Bacon to come up um, and see these young guys work together. They're definitely going to be a rebuild team for a while. They're going to need they're going to be in the bottom parts of the draft of the lottery for the next bit. With that being said, we're going to move one up to the Washington Wizards. Let me find there. Oh yeah, Washington Wizards, who have Ish Smith, Bradley Beal, who just got that brand new contract, Troy Brown, Davis Burns, and Thomas Bryant. Um, they're It's like I said, it's hard to win without your man John Wall, and I honestly we don't know when he's going to return. They don't have ESPN does not have him in the starting lineup. They have him as the third string, so we he's just been a man plagued with injuries, which is such a shame considering how good of a player he was just even 3 years ago. With that new piece of Bradley Beal, getting that new contract, and he's a great baller. He's out there gonna get your points. He's a good 25 points per game scorer. And with their young talent of Thomas Bryant, who's through the last half of last season, we saw him get better. We saw him put up more 15, 17 points games. He can contribute. His rebounds are going up, and we see him hit a couple of threes, so we know he can space the floor. If he needs just a young man that needs to get up there and get in the weight room, get on the court, practice, and get some more kick. Um, they, they yeah. We're gonna move on to the next part where I have the Atlantic Hawks. Yes, the Atlanta Hawks. I don't know why I think I said Atlantic, but yeah, we have the Atlantic Hawks coming in with Trey Young, John Collins being the 1-2 punch that's gonna help lead um, help lead this team to a better record than last year. They have Kevin Huerter, uh, DeAndre Hunter, and walking down the middle, veteran presence Alex Len. It's a it's not an amazing lineup. There's no real star, but they have enough young overall talent to help contribute with Trey Young and John Collins being basically 20-point scorers, 19.2 and 19 flat per game. John Collins out here, he's going to get double doubles. And we can't forget the Cam Reddish who they drafted, and Jabari Parker, like I mentioned in this offseason, who once was a 20-point scorer in Milwaukee. Now will have his chance to come off the bench on a new team, younger team that can help help contribute in this weaker division and help them rise up in the Southeastern Conference. So, and with that, we got the Magic, who we got the Orlando Magic coming in as their runner-up, and their starting lineup of DJ Augustine, Evan Fournier, Jonathan Isaac, Aaron Gordon, Nikola Vucevic. Like I said earlier about the Pistons, this would be the other untalked about front court in the East that's pretty, I'd say, underrated. The Pistons and Magic have the um, two dominant 4 and 5. Nikola getting this um, brand new contract, and he's shown that he can space the floor. He's going out. He gets his 20 points a game. He gets his leading the team in 3 categories: rebounds, points, and blocks. So um, he's got DJ Augustine, who's getting some age on him. We see him hit that cool jump shot game winner in the playoffs last year, giving the Raptors their first loss in the first game of the first round. But with Aaron Gordon too, a great for athletic, but he's a poor man's Blake Griffin. We're gonna see him in the dunk contest this year. A great rematch of him and Zach LaVine. I cannot wait for that. That's gonna be an amazing showdown. The part 3, I got my money on Zach LaVine. So let's see. Yeah, we got, and then winning the Southeast, I thrown in the Miami Heat, who just acquired Jimmy Butler um, in the offseason from the Philadelphia 76ers. Along him, joining him is Goran Dragic, James Johnson, Deion Waiters, and Bam Adebayo. Um, that's a solid for what the division is. That's going to be a solid piece. You have finally get that superstar talent after losing Dwayne Wade. And Goran, former All Star Goran Dragic is going to bring up the ball pretty solid. He's going to distribute to Jimmy Butler while leaving Jimmy one of the best two-way defenders in the league. Um, Coming off the bench, they have Zach Collins, who's a pretty good piece for the bench, who's going a great contributor. We've seen what he in the playoffs last year. He was pretty solid, helping out the um, Trailblazers. But they also lose their star center Hassan Whiteside, with all the conflicts with the office, is finally gone. So it's great. New start, bringing up Bam as the starter, athletic. It's going to be a good year for him to see what he can do as a starter. Now, with all the drama between Whiteside all gone, and yeah, we have the Miami Heat winning the Southeast. Uh, the Southeast is definitely going to be the weakest division in the Eastern Conference, if not the whole NBA. So we're going to move on to the last one, the Atlantic Division, which consists of half of New York City. Um, and yeah, we got the New York Knicks, the Boston Celtics, Philadelphia 76ers, the only team out of the country, Toronto Raptors. And we live in Brooklyn, baby, New York, New Brooklyn Nets. Um, yeah, so we're going to start off with the Knicks, who just are going to get last place. It's so hard being a Knicks fan. I know Stephen A. Smith. Shout out to that man. Just horrendous in attracting all or free agents this time, losing Porzingis years prior, and then getting the hopes up for Zion, but then falling short and having to go out to get R.J. Barrett and not getting Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving like previously thought they would. Um, for what they have didn't get, they can't be too disappointed. Went out and got Bobby Portis, who was a he has great sixth man of the year potential. Um, they still got Dennis Smith Jr. and Kevin Knox, um, Markieff Morris. You can't forget about him. All right, where to go? But you can't forget about Markieff Morris. Um, and Mitchell Robinson, another untalked about rookie big last year, who was a great rim protector and is a solid defensive big. But they can't complain about what they get. It's just the fact of what they didn't get, which and they also picked up Julius Randle. Forgot about that. Who's we saw last year flourished in New Orleans, getting 23 points a game, which showing they can still score for what he's got. And it's just not enough to win. They might give the Raptors, who I have coming in third place. Um, they're coming out. Huh. My bad about that. Bluetooth in the. Anywho, um, it's not gonna be enough to come out of the playoffs. So we got coming next is the Toronto Raptors, who have lost Kawhi Leonard. I think this is what happens. It's hard you can't replace a Kawhi Leonard. It's so hard to just get rid of that all-star superstar talent. And when he leaves, they also lose Danny Green, a solid shooter. That's just tremendous. You can't replace them. But this is going to be a great up and rising chance to show what Spicy Peas Pascal Siakam has. They still got two-time defensive player of the year, Marc Gasol, who didn't really get the numbers in the finals like we saw, but he still shows a value veteran presence and can defend the paint when he needs to and get the job done. Where is this starting lineup at? There it is. All right. Like I said, Marcus Gasol, Kyle Lowry's still going to be there, the starting point guard. Um, with Norman Powell coming up off the bench and have to come in that starting role to replace Danny Green and OG Anunoby. I haven't heard much about that man, so I can't say much. But he's going to have some big shoes replacing Kawhi Leonard, and I just don't think that. This shows how much Kawhi meant to this team in this amazing playoff run that they have, and it's just not going to be enough to move forward. They're just going to stay. They're going to be a decent team, but just not enough to get the job done. So with that, we're moving on to the Brooklyn Nets, who just acquired Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. However, Kevin Durant will not play this next season due to his Achilles injury that he received in the finals last year, which is just hard. Prayers up to that man. Hopefully he gets better. But they went out and still got Taurean Prince and DeAndre Jordan, another solid big, not what he used to be, but a great veteran presence. Now teaming up with Kyrie Irving, we're going to see some great pick and rolls going on there. They may have lost D'Angelo Russell, but they're upgrading to Kyrie Irving. And then once Kevin Durant does come back, they're going to have all these pieces along with Joe Harris, the three-point shooting champion, and Jared Allen, who we saw block some notable people last year. And they still keep Chris LeVert. So along with these superstars coming, they got the talent pieces building up. But it's all that is not enough to take second place for the Boston Celtics, who we also was next, the other team that Kyrie was just on. But they've taken Kemba Walker from the Hornets, who was it's no Kyrie Irving, but for what the system they got and the talent that he has and the scoring that he can do, he's going to fit in perfectly. It's a new city. It's first time switching teams, so it's going to be a new adjustment. But he'll have Jaylen Brown, a solid defensive two with Jason Tatum, Gordon Hayward. This is a big year for him. Last year was just a rehabilitation year on his ankle from that devastating injury. Still was able to put up a productive 16 points a game, but now that he's going to be moving up in the starting role with Jason Tatum at the 4 and Enes Kanter at the 5. Losing Al Horford in this offseason too, they had to go out and get someone, so they picked up Kanter, who is a solid. I've seen him do work. Good job replacing Joseph Nurkic on the Trailblazers. He was a great fill-in player for him while he was out. It just wasn't enough to get the job done in the playoffs, but it will be enough in the Celtics case scenario. They also got rookies Taco Fall, my man. I'm going to be following that man. Hopefully he has a great career for how big he is. He can move his feet well. They also got Marcus Smart and Romeo Langford, another man they have drafted. Will be has a lot of upside potential, a lot of good scoring. Can't wait to see what this man does when they give him the minutes. And with that being said, the winner of the Atlantic Atlantic Conference will be the Philadelphia 76ers, who have a powerful starting lineup of we're going to put Ben Simmons with Josh Richardson, who they got along with that Jimmy Butler three-team trade with Tobias. They kept Tobias Harris instead of they chose Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler with picking up Al Horford for the 4 and Joel Embiid, who is the best center in the NBA right now. This team looks like just a lot of all-star talent. A lot of starters. The bench could use some work. That's always been a case for them. And it's hard when you lose Jimmy Butler, the man that did most of the carrying this postseason. But you still can move Tobias Harris. You can move Tobias Harris back to his natural 3 position instead of 4, and you picked up Al Horford, who is a great. He was the center point. He was the um, oil of the machine of the Celtics. He was the communicator. He did his role and scored when he needed to. He can stretch the floor, which will help out Joel Embiid and um, Ben Simmons' case of attacking the paint. So that was a great pickup. And I just think the starting talent on this is powerful enough to get the wins and win out the Atlantic Division. So with breaking down by division, I'm going to give you my 1 through 15 of the NBA Eastern Conference. The worst starting at 15, the worst team in the East will be the Charlotte Hornets. No surprise there, losing their talent and not doing much offseason. Number 14, we have the Cavs. Number 13, we have the Washington Wizards. 12 would be the New York Knicks. Do a little better than some people suspected, but still not enough to get to move on up. Um, with that, these next three teams are going to be all pretty interchangeable, I feel. The 11, I have the Atlantic Hawks with Trae Young leading the helm. Number 10, we got the Magic um, with Vucevic still putting up those numbers and showing why he got that contract. And then number 9, just missing the playoffs, is the Detroit Pistons. I think between him and the number 8 seed Heat is going to be real close and real intense. It's all going to come down to the last few games. Number 7, I have my Chicago Bulls, who stay healthy this year and keep on winning. Number 6, I have the Toronto Raptors. Losing Kawhi Leonard, it's hard. Dropped from the 2 seed last season, but it's just going to be. You can't, like I said, it's hard to replace Kawhi Leonard. Number 5, I think Victor Oladipo does good and comes off this injury and leads them to the 5th seed. But number 4, I have the Nets with Kyrie Irving at the helm. Number 3, we have the Boston Celtics, who I think squad's overallness is well enough and whole to give them the 3rd seed. Number 2, with the starting squad of the Philadelphia 76ers, has enough talent to just get enough wins. And number 1, I have the Greek Freak going back to back and winning the Eastern Conference again with the Milwaukee Bucks. So that is the preseason prediction of the East. And we are going to move on to the West and start in the Pacific Division, which consists most of the state of California. Actually, all but one team in California. So we're gonna, which consists of the Lakers, Los Angeles Lakers, Los Angeles Clippers, Golden State Warriors, Sacramento Kings, and the Phoenix Suns. Um, this is definitely going to be the most interesting one of the West, I believe. There's a lot of power, a lot of stars um, in this division is going to be, I think, the most tightly knit, highly competitive. So we're going to go from there. Starting at 5, I have the Phoenix Suns, who were one of the worst teams in the NBA last season. They went out and got Ricky Rubio and Dario Saric, solid role players. Ricky can bring up the ball and will work well with Devin Booker. And we have DeAndre Ayton, who was an amazing, probably the best big in the draft last year, if not the best big in the draft last year. But he was just overshadowed by former draft mate Luka Doncic. Coming off the bench, you also got Aaron Baines from the Celtics, who was a solid piece coming off the bench. But other than that, there's just not a lot coming outside their star Booker and the rising talent of DeAndre. Hopefully, Ricky and Dario can pace and stretch the floor out a little bit to make something work. But I just don't. This conference is just it's the West. They're too strong. For that, next we're moving on to the Sacramento Kings, who have a starting lineup of they also my apologies. We also got Kelly Oubre Jr. For the Suns, who was a pickup they got last season, solid piece. But anyways, back to the Kings. They have their starting lineup of God, I hate how this is all not lined up. All right, starting lineup of De'Aaron Fox, Buddy Hield, Harrison Barnes, Marvin Bagley, and newly picked up Dwayne Dedman. Um, Dwayne was a solid piece off the Hawks bench last season. And then I have De'Aaron Fox, who I compared him before as the next John Wall, and we saw great growth in his or his game last season. Along with Buddy Hield, it was a great piece, a great front court for this Kings. They lost Willie Cauley Stein, but they picked up just another piece. Hope I just without that star, each team needs some sort of star to make them progress a little more. Hopefully, De'Aaron Fox can turn into that star for the Kings, but that just not a, just not enough power. Um, Coming in third place, we have I put the Warriors with Curry, D'Lo, Green, Glenn Robinson the third, and Kyle Looney as the started. They lost Klay Thompson. It's hard when one of your Splash Brothers is gone, not going to come back to probably the All Star break. And when he does come back, it's gonna be hard. He's gonna have to come into this rotation. He's never had this severe of an injury before, so it's gonna be interesting to see how he plays. And they're gonna have him at the three. He's used to playing um, shooting guard all the time, and now with D'Angelo Russell, it's gonna be a lot of spacing. We'll see how Clay does guarding threes. But I just don't. With just Curry, Green, and D'Angelo going to have to get in that system, I don't think it's enough to. They're going to get their wins. Don't get me wrong, in this division, but with the other two LA teams, it's just not going to be enough to overtake them. Um, with that being said, we're moving on. There's only one town left, and that's Los Angeles. And I have the Lakers being the runner-up with LeBron, AD, and now just recently, the other day, losing Boogie Cousins, which is a huge loss right now. So now they have JaVale McGee, the only other center on the team starting. Um, this lineups has them moving LeBron James back to small forward and starting Rajon Rondo and putting uh, um, back Kyle Kuzma. His name slipped me. Back on the bench. I don't think this is a smart move if this is the real roster, but they they just have to take JaVale McGee, he's lengthy, great defender. Don't get me wrong, but he's going to be much needed on the bench. It's hard when you lose Boogie Cousins, um, and this will probably alters how the team's going to be developed this year as a whole. Because I know a lot of people were counting on Boogie to be that third member, that Chris Bosh to LeBron James sort of teammate. But now with that gone, they're going to have to figure out it's back to a duo. See if one of these teams can um, pick up the slack of what they were missing out of Boogie. And after winning the Pacific, I have the Clippers, who just acquired NBA champion Kawhi Leonard, along with going out to get Paul George for an assortment of picks and Shai Gander and Daniel Gallinari. Um, with this roster just speaks defense to me, and defense wins championships. Because if you can stop the other team from scoring points, you just gotta score, and that's what Kawhi Leonard and Paul George can do, along with six-man of the year candidate Lou Williams. You got Sweet Lou. You have um, Harrell coming off the bench. Great six-man piece. And this team just looks all around, all complete, all well talented with the right amount of superstar talent, and they're gonna go out and win the Pacific. All right, and then we're gonna move to the Northwest Division, which consists of the Oklahoma City Thunder, Minnesota Timberwolves, Portland Trailblazers, Denver Nuggets, and Utah Jazz. Um, this right here um, is a solid. It's a nice middle team kind of division where it's a widespread of talent. So we're gonna dig right in. Start number 5. I have the Minnesota Timberwolves coming in last place. It's hard to see such a team that went from so good or it went from so bad to getting Jimmy Butler and all the pieces lined up, going so good, losing Jimmy Butler, and then having it go right out the window. It's just such a shame. But the starting lineup of um, Jeff Teague, Jarrett Culver, Andrew Wiggins, Robert Covington, and Carl Anthony Towns. Rob Covington's a great 3-and-D player, but having him at the four is really going to hurt him due to his size. Andrew Wiggins has a lot to prove this year. He's just going to have to show what kind of a baller he's still in him. He's going to raise his defense up. They lost Derrick Rose, a great spark off the bench. So this hurts their bench more. But they do have all-star and Carl Anthony Towns, a top 3 center in the league. So they just need to surround this man Carl with some more talent. But they they had it, and now it's all gone. So now they're going to be at the bottom of the Northwest Division. They did pick up Jordan Bell from the Warriors, giving a little championship kind of maybe mentality to maybe push them a bench piece, perhaps. But just above them, we have the Oklahoma City Thunder, who just a shame. I was watching a documentary on them earlier today about how they drafted all um, three in a row MVPs and were on the brink of being a dynasty, and they just couldn't get it done. Which you just got to feel because now with Russell Westbrook being gone, that's just like the final chapter in that what could have been trilogy of players. But in the trade, they did get um, Chris Paul, CP3, who is we've seen what he can do, and almost going to the finals, just falling short to an injury back in 2018. It was just hard for him. But they got Chris Paul, they got Shea Gillis Alexander, Daniel Gallinari, Mike Muscala, and Steven Adams. Steven and Daniello coming in the trade. Um, I do have to agree with, I think it was Stephen A. Smith. Gallinari is one of the most untalked about not stars in this league. A man that can average 20 points a game and get the rebounds and space the floor. Um, a real great underrated if you have Chris Paul feeding him the ball with Steven Adams, who is basically like Clint Capella on the Rockets, who has a lot of pick and roll, good rebounder and defender. Um, with the Dennis Schroeder off the bench, is a great piece. Still keep Norns Noel, um, but it's just not. It's hard losing all of your superstar and all star. Shea Alexander is going to be a great player in the future, but just right now is not enough. Now they're looking to, or if they're still looking to trade Chris Paul, what they can get out of him, I think that the front office is embracing rebuild mode. So it's going to be hard being a Thunder fan for the next couple of years, losing your stars. But you just gotta hang in there, Oklahoma. So we're gonna move to the Jazz coming in the middle of the pack, who just went out and got Mike Conley um, in the trade, or went out and got Mike Conley. Where's this? Where is this roster? I just saw it. I'm scrolling on my phone looking at the NBA app, and they do not put these teams in a chronological or somewhat sense order. So my apologies on those weights, but they got Mike Conley with Donovan Mitchell, Joe Ingles, Bojan Bogdanovic, and Rudy Gobert as a starting five. A defensive player, two-time defensive player now, Rudy Gobert, with up and rising star Donovan Mitchell. We you get Mike Conley to replace Ricky Rubio. I feel like they go hand in hand. They both do about the same. So I feel like this Jazz team is going to stay in the middle of the pack. They're going to be about the same. If Donovan Mitchell can make some steps up in this game this year, showing some more scoring, or get some more scoring production from Rudy Gobert, maybe they can push to give the next place I have Nuggets a chance. But till then, they're just gonna have to stay in that middle, maybe get some key pieces and free agents or sign some free agency. Because there are still a lot of key free agents out there. Shout out to Carmelo Anthony. That man does deserve a job, changing my mind. Um, Next, we got, like I said, the Nuggets, who was led by Nikola Jokic, the Joker, Gary Harris, um, Will Barton, Paul Millsap, and Jamal Murray. This They didn't really go out and get anybody. It seems like this offseason they were the number 2 seed last year, so they figured keep the squad together and get everyone whole. But they will begin their draft from last year, Michael Porter Jr., who hopefully will be enough. Maybe give this bench some more firepower, show that he's a starter caliber. Paul Millsap just gets some more age on him this season. Maybe he can give a little replacement or a boost of the morale or something along those lines. And then winning the Southwest, we have the Portland Trailblazers, who fell short the Western Conference Finals. We saw them give the Warriors a little bit of a run, but just not enough to finish out any games. And went out and got Hassan Whiteside after all the drama going on in Miami. We seen him. He quoted saying that he's excited, he's ready for a fresh start, um, which is great because he is a very true center that's got the ability to be a star, double double kind of guy. Just a lot of drama going on in Miami, but with Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum being the star front court, with Kent Bazemore at the 3, Zach Collins and Hassan Whiteside, um, that's that's a pretty lethal starting lineup. If Damian Lillard and CJ can produce like they did last season, it's going to be hard with Nurkic still coming back from that devastating leg injury. But you also got Rodney Hood being your 6 man coming off the bench, solid producer. We saw some good flashes of him in the playoffs last year. And the Blazers, Blazers and Nuggets are going to be up there battling it out for first and second. But I have the Trailblazers coming out victorious in the Northwest. And with that, we move on to our last division of the NBA, and that's the Southwest Division, consisting of the Dallas Mavericks, Houston Rockets, New Orleans Pelicans, San Antonio Spurs, and Memphis Grizzlies. Um, yeah, Texas got a lot of teams too. But we're gonna start at the bottom with the Memphis Grizzlies, who went out got drafted Ja Morant. Great pick. He's gonna be a great player. I think he's going to give Zion Williams a run for his money in the Rookie of the Year race, but it's just going to fall short due to what team he's on. With Ja Morant, we got Dylan Brooks, Kyle Anderson, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Jonas Valanciunas. Jonas was a great contributor. We haven't seen him since he left the Raptors. He hasn't had much of a. The numbers haven't shown it. But he can still be that veteran presence, that solid big man to get rebounds. But he's just not the scoring option for this team that will run through Ja and Jaren. Jaren will have he has a lot to prove. So this next season is going to be important on his development. I think he's going to have a great year. But outside these people, there's really not a lot of scoring, not a lot of contribution coming from these players, and it's just not enough to get the wins needed to move on. Now, these next 2 teams it's just a coin. It was a coin flip for me. I really couldn't. It was so hard to figure out which one I wanted to put more in front, but I went with my heart over my brain, and we took the Dallas Mavericks coming in next. We don't know, all because of we do not know how Kristaps Porzingis, the unicorn, is going on. We haven't seen him play in 2 seasons. I remember seeing a post on Instagram, and it says a lot has changed since he's played, and it showed LeBron James still on the Cavs. DeRozan was still up north and so on. Kawhi was still in San Antonio and so on and so forth. But if he can play to how he would and was in New York before his injury, I think this would be a great piece for the Mavericks, and we'll see the foreignness of Kristaps and Luka with Justin Jackson, Delon Wright, and Dwight Powell at the five. Um, it's outside of Luka, and if Kristaps comes out to can put out his play, I think it's just not enough to overcome the Spurs, who I have coming in at three. Um, but they they picked up um, the Giant, Boban the Giant, I like to call him, for their bench use. But I just don't think it's enough. And move on, like I said, the San Antonio Spurs, who picked up Tim Duncan as the assistant coach. And when you have Tim Duncan and Greg Popovich together, this is why I was saying my heart over my head. Um, they're going to be these young guns are going to be learning a lot, and they still got their star, DeMar DeRozan, with Rudy Gay and LaMarcus Aldridge. Seems like an as aged as their coaching staff is, and experienced coaching staff. Their players are getting that age too, so hopefully that will transition together. They still keep Patty Mills and Damari Carroll coming off the bench, which is a great supporting cast. Be enough to get that middle of the pack third seed in the or third place in the Southwest. And then the runner up, I'm rolling the dice and going with the New Orleans Pelicans with a starting lineup of um, Lonzo Ball, Drew Holiday, Brandon Ingram, Zion, number one pick, and Derek Favors at the five. Derek Favors is a solid piece, and we still don't know what Zion can do. Um, we haven't seen him much play in the summer league other than ripping up Kevin Knox and slamming it in his face. We haven't seen we got all star, all guard, all defensive team Drew Holiday, Lonzo Ball coming off that little injury last year. But the main concern with this is Brandon Ingram with the blood clot having what Chris Bosh had is going to be real interesting to see how he comes back for that. Hopefully, it does not spread like Chris did, um, and keep his career more prolonged. They got some shooters though. They went out and got JJ um, JJ Redick too. They from the Philadelphia 76ers. It would be a great to space the floor and help out Zion. They just got all shooters. It's going to be this. If Zion were to go to any system, this is the system that he needed to be in, and hopefully that this will work out for him and win Rookie of the Year. Winning the Southwest is the Houston. I have the Houston Rockets, who um, fell short second in the second round last year, but then go out and get MVP Russell Westbrook, and they're. I just got to say they're both going to work out. We've seen it happen before, and they both went to the finals together. Granted, they fell short to a big three: LeBron James, D Wade, and Chris Bosh. But it's the fact that they've won together already. They know how to play each other, and they both won MVP. So when you get these two MVPs together, Harden doesn't have to bring up the ball as much. We see what he can do behind the arc, along keeping with their defense of PJ Tucker. Um, and they go out and get Tyson Chandler, another solid big to help back up Clint Capella, who will be solid pick and roll, throwing oops and athletic for Russell to throw up. Oops too, while having to kick out to Harden, who will be out there cooking with the. And we all know what he can do with that dangerous step back. So I have the Rockets coming out, winning the Southwest, and this leaves me to 1 through 15, excuse me, um, setup of the Western Conference. This was hard to do, and it took a lot of thinking, a lot of looking over, a lot of research. But number 15, I'm sorry, Phoenix, but the Suns will be last, along with the Grizzlies. Grizzlies will not be that much better, but just a smudge better. We have the Timberwolves at 13, Kings at 12, the Mavericks at 11, with the Spurs at 10. just missing the playoffs is the Oklahoma City Thunder. Chris Paul is this will spark the downfall in Chris Paul. Number 8, we are making Zion Williams bring the Pelicans to the playoffs. Number 7, the Jazz. 6, Nuggets fall to the 6 after being 2 seed last year. Number 5, the Warriors. I think Klay Thompson. They'll be fine. It's gonna be hard to win without him, but they're not in too much trouble, and will once he comes back and gets in the system, I think they'll be fine once playoff comes. But we'll fall to the 5th seed. Number 4, we got the Lakers, who, like I said, lost Boogie. It's going to be hard, but they still retain Anthony Davis and LeBron James, the best duo in the NBA. Number 3, I got the Blazers. I think Dame is still hungry. He's out there. We saw what he did to Paul George, ending basically the Oklahoma City Thunder, and then just falling short in the Western Conference Finals. 4 games just is hard. Number 2, we got the Rockets with, I think, Russ and Harden come together and get more wins. This will help. This helps their case out with the Lakers losing Boogie and more power, and the Warriors losing the Nuggets, or excuse me, the Warriors losing Thompson. I was looking at the Nuggets, my bad. The injuries in the upper tier teams will help boost them. And number 1, I'm going to all defense, the Kawhi Leonard Clips. So yeah, that is the Western Conference. Once the All-Star break comes around, I'm going to take a look at this list, probably sigh a couple times, maybe shrug some shoulders, or see what we did, and we're going to compare lists, and hopefully I was right about something. But that concludes it for today's episode. Thanks for tuning in to Ballin' with Biegel. You can follow me at Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube at Buckets with Biegel, because I cannot change it for some reason right now. And tune into the next episode. We're going to start out Facebook Living our shows, and then throwing up the video on YouTube, and then starting at a later time date when I get a time decided. We're going to have open call-ins. You can call in, discuss, and debate with me and whoever be on the show. So get excited for that coming up soon. Till then, I will see y'all later, and y'all have a great day, rest of your week and month.